If you want to continue to follow our adventure, click subscribe. So you don't miss anything, click the bell notification. Oh, awesome road subscribers and followers. Well, as I've mentioned in several of my videos already, we have been staying at Missouri conservation areas. Being from Missouri, I've lived in Missouri most of my life. I mean, with the exceptions of when I was in the military. And I also spent a little time in Iowa. And so I know the eastern part half of the state fairly well. I mean, I would say, you know, the St. Louis area, 50 miles west, 50 miles south, 50 miles north. I've gotten to know pretty well throughout my lifetime. I didn't realize how much I enjoyed Missouri and how much Missouri really has to offer. I mean, you get out in the world and travel and see different things, and then you come back to Missouri and it's like, man, that's kind of neat. These conservation areas are just a blast to be in. Here's the thing, coming back to Missouri. Now, it's not that I'm afraid of the unknown, but I'm certainly more comfortable being in Missouri than I am out there. Here's an example. There are 3 conservation areas within a 40-mile distance of each other, all of which are just up one road. When I decided to come here to this particular conservation area, I knew it had everything I needed. Water is just down the road a ways. Internet, I can get an internet signal here. No big deal. But when you go to a camping area in a different state, you don't know any of that. It's all best guess. I've got 40 years, 35 years of experience in Missouri knowing that this has got what I need. I've camped here. I camped here when I was 12 years old with my aunt and my cousin. I've been here. I got it. As a matter of fact, just a year ago I was here and I knew it had internet at that time too. If I was in a different state and I got here and I didn't know if it had internet or not, and I got here and it didn't have internet or it didn't have water, I may not necessarily know that just 20 miles up the road, there's another spot. It's got water and internet. It's got everything I need. And then I go on up about another 10 miles up the road, and I got another spot that's got water and internet. There is a huge advantage about being in your home state. Now, we were in Nebraska just a week ago, and they've got a series of campsites, the parks, that you can camp at that have water and electric, free electric. It's free. You give donations. And they all had, I could get internet signal. One of them actually had free Wi-Fi. And now I'm here. And I am very comfortable, just like I was in Nebraska. Talk about how difficult it can be, especially when you're boondocking all the time. We've been boondocking most of the summer, and now we're in this period of very comfort. We're very relaxed, very happy. I think that everybody, when they come out here, and you're starting to feel tense and like, man, it's just constantly trying to figure out new things and trying to leave and find a new spot. So if I'm going to do it, I want to travel, I want to see things, but I do need this break from it, just like a vacation. So this is all going to be very relaxing and very, very healthy for us. And then we're going to go back down to Florida in the winter, I would think, where we already know a lot of the things. We know where a lot of the campsites are at. I bet you I could tell you where 20 campsites are at, just in one area. And then I can go over to another area and find another 2 or 3. So, I mean, I got things in Florida. Things are starting to get where I can be comfortable knowing that there's not this fear of the unknown. And I think that's what we're going to try to focus on, is learning areas. We've talked about learning areas before, but we're really going to focus on learning an area really well so that we can come back to it and then extend our reach a little more. So let's just say, for example, that next year, instead of coming, let's say we go up to South Dakota. Well, now South Dakota, we already know because we've been there this summer, and then we're going to come down into Nebraska, and then maybe we'll go down into Kansas or Colorado or something like that, and just extend our reach just a little bit more to stretch our comfort level. And then we can come back through Missouri. That way we're always getting a break from our stretch. And I think that is the big deal here, is we're stretching ourselves too long. We stayed in South Dakota and we stretched and stretched and stretched, trying to learn the area really hard. Well, maybe we shouldn't have done that. Maybe we should have just stayed there a couple weeks and then rebounded and back to, you know, a more comfortable, recognizable area. I think staying out in these areas too long really can start dragging you down. You're constantly fighting the elements. You're constantly fighting, trying to find water. You're having to collect water. You're constantly dealing with your trash. You're constantly stretching your abilities, and you become more of a survivalist than a nomad. If we look at these YouTubers, they go to the West and they just kind of park themselves there. And we call them nomads. Now, the other aspect of this is it's really interesting what you start to miss about your home state. You don't even think about it. Last night, Carolyn started a little fire with trees that we recognize. We recognize the walnut trees and the oak trees and those kind of things. And so when she started a fire, that smoke from my childhood triggered a memory. And it was like, that's a real fire. When you go down to Florida or Georgia, there's a lot of pine. And that's about all you can burn in Florida, especially, just pine. And so that's a whole new smell and a whole new sensation. They got this stuff called fat wood, and everybody's burning fat wood. It smells like diesel oil a lot of times. Well, if you're from Florida, I would imagine that smell triggers a lot of childhood memories if you were camping when you were a child. But when you come to Missouri from Florida and you smell this wool, and you're like, what is that? That's a ugh. And so you got to get used to it. But coming back to Missouri, it's just home. We've been cold the entire time we've been on our adventure. We get back to Missouri, hot and humid, and it's like, all right, I like this. This is kind of, and I know that sounds silly, but that is the truth. You know, being up in South Dakota, there was wind all the time. I mean, just constantly, 20-mile-an-hour wind, just beating you down all the time. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. It was just out of my comfort zone. And Missouri is my comfort zone. Nebraska, I was able to hook up and be relaxed and comfortable. Even though the environment was different, I had things that I could just be comfortable with. In Missouri, I got things that I can be comfortable with. And I think this is key to staying healthy as a nomad, is retreating back to your comfort zone for a while, kind of like a vacation, and then getting back out to it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Click like if you like the video, and happy travels.